Welcome, football fans, to Week 10 of the GW Today Bulldog Fantasy. This is Jared, and I'm Matthew, and we're here to talk to you about fantasy football. How you doing, Jared?
Doing peachy, Matt.
All right, Jared, who's going to be a top quarterback for you this week?
Peyton Manning. Yes, I know Peyton Manning is a must-start every week in fantasy leagues. He's a great quarterback. We're coming off that gruesome loss to his arch rival and enemy, Tom Brady, the New England Patriots. I expect Peyton Manning to come back and have a big week this week. I like his matchup with the winless Oakland Raiders, so look for Peyton to have a good week this week. If you're an owner of the Sheriff, make sure he's a start.
I know Marshawn Lynch might have a solid week this week, but who's going to be a top running back for you?
LeSean McCoy. McCoy's coming off a pretty big week last week, over 100 yards alone on the ground. This week, good matchup with the Carolina Panthers. They're struggling defense. With Mark Sanchez now in a quarterback as Nick Foles is out with an injury, look for Chip Kelly to implement a more heavy workload in the backfield with LeSean McCoy on the offensive side of the ball. So I like LeSean McCoy this week.
There's a lot of wide receivers in the NFL who have been doing very successful games for the last few weeks. Who do you think is going to be a good one for this week?
Look for Jordy Nelson to have a pretty big week this week. The Green Bay Packers are facing a Chicago Bears team at home. Bears secondary has been pretty horrendous recently. You all remember that matchup in Foxborough and what Tom Brady did to them. I know Randall Cobb's kind of been taking away a lot of the touchdowns from Jordy Nelson this year, but I fully expect Jordy Nelson to have a big week this week, and especially in PPR leagues, if he doesn't score, he's still going to be a big threat.
I know Miami had a solid week last week. Who do you think is going to have a solid week this week and shut down the opposite team?
The Dallas Cowboys defense is going to once again have to step up and make big plays this week, especially if Tony Romo's continued out this week against Jacksonville. Last week, the Cowboys defense did pretty well against Arizona. They scored a defensive touchdown. I fully expect them to step it up once again and give their team a chance to win the ball game.
Who's going to wake up and not be your sleeper?
Jason Witten. Witten is always a hidden gem. And this week, I really expect him to have another big week like he did last week. He's a solid tight end, and with Tony Romo out, I fully expect Brandon Weeden to once again, like last week, make Jason Witten his number one target. Even if Romo comes back, I fully expect Witten to have a big week against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Who's been waiting all week to be picked up off the waiver wire pickup for you?
Mark Sanchez is back, folks. He's a must waiver wire pickup this week if you're an owner of somebody that's hurt, like Nick Foles, who Mark Sanchez is replacing, or if you're an owner of one of the 3 top 5 quarterbacks in the league that are out on bye this week. Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady, and Andrew Luck are all out. So Mark Sanchez is a pretty big waiver wire pickup this week.
Who are you bringing off the bench to be your stardom?
Keep an eye on if Giovanni Bernard's going to go this week. I don't believe he will for the Cincinnati Bengals. And if he doesn't, Jeremy Hill is a must-start this week. Hill had an excellent week last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I fully expect him to have another big week on Thursday Night Football this week against the Cleveland Browns at home.
Who are you taking to the bench to be your sit-em?
If he's one of your only receivers, he's probably a must-go-to guy this week in Golden Tate. But with Calvin Johnson coming back, I fully expect Matthew Stafford to look his way a lot more. And Golden Tate, he's had some good weeks, but against an awesome Miami defense who has shut out and shut down the San Diego receivers and Phillip Rivers last week, Golden Tate is a sit this week.
I know there's a lot of injuries that are still going on in the NFL, and there's been new ones added to the list. What are the new ones that are going to affect the viewers this week?
Like I said, both keep an eye on Calvin Johnson if he's going to go or not, and Giovanni Bernard. It's kind of an up-in-the-air situation. Monty Ball, I know for a fact, is going to be out once again for the Denver Broncos as they face the Raiders. Keep an eye on Rashad Jennings, though. He was supposed to come back last week for the New York Giants, but he didn't. But look for him to come back as they travel to Seattle this week. Also, you want to make sure you keep an eye on Tony Romo. He's going to want to play, and Jerry Jones is going to want him to play when they battle Jacksonville in Europe. But I would expect Brandon Weeden to get the start once again, so keep an eye on that.
Thanks for watching. I'm Matthew Johnson.
And I'm Jared McMurray.
Tune in next week to catch up on your Bulldog fantasy needs.
See you next week, folks.
Bye.
Thank you.